Trucks that sold out last year are now being dumped like dead stock. From Kentucky to California, dealers are slashing prices on full-size pickups and midsize workhorses. These aren't bad trucks, they're just sitting. And now, manufacturers are panicking behind closed doors. So why are once best-selling models going untouched? Where are the biggest drops happening? And how do you avoid buying a truck that no one wants anymore? By the time this video ends, you'll see why these markdowns are a warning, not a gift. Ford Edge, Pennsylvania and Indiana. In its heyday, this mid-size sport utility vehicle carved out a loyal following by offering a smart compromise between sedan comfort and crossover utility. It delivered just enough space for growing families, just enough power for highway confidence, and just enough luxury to feel like an upgrade, without breaking the bank. For buyers across Pennsylvania and Indiana, it hit that sweet spot of daily usability with a dash of quiet ambition. Not too big, not too small, just right. But that Goldilocks formula has aged, and not well. As the sport utility vehicle landscape shifted toward hybrid systems, bold styling, and integrated technology, this model remained static. It no longer stands out in a crowded market where buyers crave a strong identity and future-proof features. What once felt like a safe, familiar choice now reads as outdated and uncertain. Inventory across Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Indianapolis, and Fort Wayne has swelled to uncomfortable levels, with some dealers sitting on units for well over 90 days. In response, Ford dealerships have rolled out substantial incentives, rebates exceeding $6,500, 3-year complimentary maintenance packages, and $0 accessory upgrades, all designed to manufacture urgency where none exists. But the buyers are not biting. In these regions, consumer behavior has clearly shifted. People are now gravitating toward hybrid crossovers, like the Toyota Venza, or plug-in options, like the Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. These alternatives offer not only modern styling and improved fuel economy, but also something the Edge no longer can: a long-term future. As Ford quietly prepares to sunset the model entirely, its dealers are left with inventory that looks increasingly like stranded assets. A vehicle that once filled a purposeful gap now feels like a product adrift in a sea of better-defined competitors. And that sentiment cuts deep. When buyers sense a model has no future, resale value becomes a fear rather than a perk. Financing becomes riskier. Confidence evaporates. That is what happened here. Not because the Edge became worse, but because everything around it became better. Even with aggressive dealer efforts and regional markdowns, this vehicle now feels like the last chapter of an aging playbook. But if brand confusion explains why the Edge is fading, the next vehicle got dumped because buyers simply could not afford it anymore. Toyota Sequoia, Washington and South Dakota. Few full-size sport utility vehicles have ever carried the badge of strength and reliability quite like this one. For years, it dominated long family road trips, weathered harsh winters, and towed weekend toys without complaint. Buyers in Washington and South Dakota often chose it for its commanding presence, generous third-row space, and the old-school confidence that came with a naturally aspirated engine and a Toyota logo. For a long time, it was the quiet giant of American highways. But that changed dramatically with the launch of its most recent generation. Toyota's bold move to replace the traditional V8 powertrain with a twin-turbocharged 3,445 cubic centimeters hybrid V6 turned heads, but not all in a good way. While the new setup delivers impressive output, 437 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque, it also brought a host of new concerns. In areas like Spokane and Sioux Falls, where buyers prioritize simplicity and long-term reliability, skepticism was immediate. Maintenance fears, battery longevity, and hybrid system complexity cast a shadow over what should have been a technical leap forward. The starting price, often soaring well past $70,000, only added fuel to the fire. For a demographic that had long trusted Toyota for mechanical predictability, this version of the Sequoia felt more like a science experiment than a family investment. Dealers in both states have been working overtime to reverse that perception. Fuel vouchers, lease forgiveness programs, and accessory bundles valued over $1,500 are now being layered into deals. In some cases, Toyota stores are partnering with energy providers to offer partial reimbursement for home charging setup, despite the vehicle not being fully electric. That in itself reflects the confusion buyers face. The discounts are substantial and the perks are flashy, but they have not been enough. Inventory remains high, and the showroom traffic is tepid at best. The Sequoia's redesign meant to propel it into the future, ended up alienating a base that never asked for change. Instead of evolving into a market leader, it fractured its own identity. And while the Sequoia collapsed under its own complexity, the next truck is failing for the opposite reason. It has not changed in over a decade. We spent weeks digging through dealer inventories and hidden markdowns so you don't have to. If this kind of real research saves you time or money, hit that like button and subscribe, because next week's list is even more shocking. Nissan Titan, Georgia and Ohio. This full-size pickup was once pitched as the practical rebel, a no-nonsense alternative to Detroit's dominance in the truck world. It came equipped with a powerful 5,600 cubic centimeters V8 engine, a strong warranty package, and a simplified trim lineup that made decision-making easy. For buyers in regions like Georgia and Ohio, where trucks are not just transport but essential tools, the Titan offered real muscle without the ego of a Ford or Ram. It earned a quiet fanbase of construction crews, utility workers, and working-class families who wanted capability without flash. But in the year 2023, the unthinkable happened. Nissan pulled the plug on the Titan entirely. No formal replacement, no hybrid teaser, no full-size future, just silence. The announcement sent shockwaves through dealerships in Atlanta and Columbus, where sales reps were suddenly left pitching a dead model to skeptical buyers. And those buyers asked the question no one could answer confidently. What happens if this truck breaks down in 5 years? Confidence crumbled. The Titan, once seen as a reliable underdog, quickly transformed into an orphaned machine with no manufacturer roadmap. The trucks now sit idle on lots across both states, many with less than 30 miles on the odometer. Brand new, but psychologically used. Dealers, desperate to move units, are stacking incentives deeper than ever. Rebates exceed $5,000. Lifetime powertrain warranties are being added at no cost. In some counties, buyers even receive complimentary registration packages or extended roadside assistance for up to 5 years. Still, the interest is fading. The fear of abandonment hangs too heavy. In communities where trucks are long-term investments and often passed down to younger generations, the Titan's sudden death sentence feels like betrayal. Nissan's decision may have made financial sense at the corporate level, but on the ground in Georgia and Ohio, it looks like surrender. Buyers want reassurance. The Titan now only offers questions. And yet, this failure came from inaction, a refusal to keep fighting. But what happens when a brand does take a risk? When it leaps into new technology, designs a bold electric future, and still falls flat? That is where we go next. Chevrolet Blazer EV, California and Texas. At its announcement, this sleek, all-electric crossover was hailed as General Motors' bold step into the future, a revival of a storied nameplate with an emission-free edge. On paper, it had everything a modern driver could want. Sculpted lines, futuristic lighting, a clean digital cockpit, and a range designed to rival anything on the market. For buyers in forward-thinking states like California and Texas, this should have been a hit. The problem? The execution failed to match the ambition. As deliveries began in cities like Los Angeles and Austin, early adopters reported a range of frustrating problems. Software glitches disabled key features. Charging issues left owners stranded. The learning curve for the vehicle's new interface felt steeper than expected. More damaging than any one flaw was the growing sense that the vehicle was rushed, an unfinished product wearing a polished badge. Walkaway rates soared. Some dealerships in Southern California began quietly removing the model from frontline display, relocating it to side lots or the back of the showroom. In Texas, test drives often ended in hesitation. Customers loved the look but questioned the practicality, and when it came time to close, sticker shock killed the momentum. Fully equipped versions of the Blazer EV approached $60,000 to $70,000, placing it well above comparable gasoline-powered crossovers and even some luxury alternatives. To stem the bleeding, Chevrolet dealers rolled out steep incentives. Rebates now exceed $9,000. Buyers receive complimentary home charging station installations and access to specialized energy rebates in select metro areas. Financing terms of 0% interest for 60 months have become standard. In some regions, lease forgiveness programs are being introduced to encourage trade-ins from hybrid and electric competitors. Despite all of this, the narrative around the Blazer EV has calcified. It is no longer viewed as a pioneer. It is seen as a cautionary tale. For many consumers, especially in tech-savvy cities where expectations are high, the idea of being a beta tester for a six-figure investment is a non-starter. Chevrolet aimed high, but fell hard. And if electric range anxiety is killing the Blazer, the next truck got dumped because it refuses to act its price. GMC Canyon, Arizona and Michigan. This midsize pickup entered the market with bold promises to be a more refined, more premium alternative in a category known for utility over polish. Built on the same platform as its sibling, the Chevrolet Colorado, it shared nearly every mechanical component but wrapped them in a glossier package. With its upscale grille, sleeker badging, and upgraded interior touches, the vehicle positioned itself as the gentleman's workhorse. In theory, it was a clever idea, offer rugged strength with a dose of sophistication. But in places like Arizona and Michigan, where trucks are purchased with purpose, not pretense, that promise quickly unraveled. Buyers quickly noticed that the specifications between the two models were virtually identical. Same turbocharged 2,700 cubic centimeters inline four-cylinder engine. Same output at 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Same chassis, same towing capacity, same dimensions. The only thing noticeably different was the price, often $3,000 to $5,000 more for the GMC badge. That price premium became known among dealers and customers alike as the badge tax, and it has proven especially toxic in working-class cities like Phoenix and Detroit. In regions where buyers prioritize durability, reliability, and cost efficiency, paying thousands more for cosmetic tweaks does not just feel unnecessary. It feels insulting. The disconnect between perception and reality triggered an immediate backlash. To recover, dealerships in both states are offering markdowns of over $5,000, often pairing those discounts with leather seat upgrades, free trail gear bundles, and upgraded infotainment systems. In some cases, dealers are throwing in customized grills, tonneau covers, and all-weather mats just to close deals that should not require so much convincing. But for many, it is too little, too late. The word is out. Unless the price drops to match its sibling, the Canyon is a tough sell. Buyers today are not just comparing specs, they are comparing perceived honesty. And when a vehicle appears to be a rebadged twin with a bloated invoice, trust erodes fast. The Canyon promised more, but it delivered the same. And in markets where value drives every decision, that mismatch is a sales killer. We spent weeks digging through inventory maps, regional rebates, and dealer data so you do not have to. If this kind of inside info saves you money, hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe. We have more real-world breakdowns coming every week. Next up, a truck that was once seen as the ultimate off-road icon, but now feels like a mistake the moment it hits pavement. Jeep Gladiator, Colorado, and Vermont, there is no denying this truck's trail pedigree. Built to conquer rocky terrain, muddy inclines, and off-grid paths with confidence, it fuses the go-anywhere DNA of a Wrangler with the added utility of a pickup bed. Enthusiasts praised its removable doors, fold-down windshield, and heavy-duty Dana 44 axles. It was, and still is, a machine built for adventure. For thrill seekers in states like Colorado and Vermont, it looked like the dream combo. Trail freedom and hauling capacity in one package. But the dream begins to fade the moment it hits pavement. On highways, the ride becomes jittery. At city speeds, the steering feels vague and loose. Wind noise intrudes into the cabin, and every bump seems to echo through the frame. For the average driver commuting 5 days a week and running errands on the weekend, the Gladiator is exhausting, and not in the rugged, satisfying way Jeep once intended. Buyers in Denver and Burlington have been the first to pull away. What was once seen as a weekend warrior's ideal setup now feels like a compromise too great to justify. It turns out that most Americans, even in outdoorsy regions, spend far more time on road than off, and that reality is clashing hard with the Gladiator's DNA. To rescue sales, dealerships are going all in on lifestyle incentives. Free trail kits, tent racks, winches, and lift kits are now commonly bundled into new Gladiator purchases. Some dealers even offer overland gear upgrades or rooftop tent systems at no extra cost, trying to sweeten the deal for adventure-focused buyers. The discounts are growing too, with cashback offers and extended maintenance plans now hitting the desks of even mildly interested customers. Still, for a truck that can exceed $50,000 when fully equipped, buyers are increasingly asking one unavoidable question: is it worth it for how I really drive? And in many cases, the answer is no. The Gladiator excels in one environment and struggles everywhere else. That makes it brilliant for a few and deeply impractical for the many. And while the Gladiator suffers from being too niche, this next sport utility vehicle is falling apart because nobody knows what it is even trying to be. Honda Passport, Oregon and Wisconsin. Designed to bridge the gap between the compact Honda Honda CR-V, and the 3-row Honda Pilot, this midsize sport utility vehicle seemed like a logical move on paper. It offered more space than the CR-V, without the bulk of a full family hauler like the Pilot. The concept was straightforward: target adventure-minded families, empty nesters, and outdoorsy buyers who wanted utility with a manageable footprint. In places like Oregon and Wisconsin, where rugged terrain meets eco-conscious planning, this seemed like the perfect product-market fit. But something got lost in translation. The Passport's design lacks a distinct identity. It is not as city-friendly or fuel-efficient as the CR-V. It does not offer third-row flexibility like the Pilot, and its exterior styling, while clean, does not stand out in a segment packed with bolder, more aggressive options from Hyundai, Toyota, and Subaru. That leaves the Passport stranded in the middle, with buyers unsure of exactly what it offers that other vehicles do not. This indecision has become a problem. Inventory in Portland and Madison is growing steadily, and some units now sit for more than 90 days without a single serious inquiry. Buyers browsing Honda lots are either going smaller for efficiency or larger for space and features. The Passport gets overlooked, not because it is a bad vehicle, but because it struggles to justify itself. To spark movement, dealers in both states are now offering a host of bundled incentives. These include all-weather packages, roof racks, winter tire kits, and even zero-down financing options stretched over 72 months. Some locations are including prepaid maintenance plans and adventure-themed accessories to lure buyers who value versatility. But the core issue remains. Without a clear use case or value distinction, the Passport is fighting an uphill battle. This identity crisis hits even harder in states like Oregon and Wisconsin, where buyers are thoughtful, practical, and deeply invested in vehicles that align with lifestyle values. Subaru has mastered this terrain. Honda, with the Passport, has not. It is stuck between audiences, between categories, and between eras of design thinking. The result is stagnation, disguised as flexibility. But while confusion killed the Passport, the next one is just old, and buyers are tired of pretending it is worth premium money. Chevrolet Malibu, Florida and Illinois. Once a staple of American driveways, this mid-size sedan stood proudly as the everyday vehicle for commuters, college grads, and small families. It offered a smooth ride, decent fuel efficiency, and an approachable price point. Nothing flashy, just dependable value. For decades, it filled the gap between compact and full-size cars, especially in sprawling states like Florida and urban hubs like Illinois. The Malibu was Chevrolet's answer to simplicity. But in today's market, simplicity without innovation equals irrelevance. The Malibu has become one of the last survivors of a dying class, the traditional four-door sedan. With consumer tastes shifting towards sport utility vehicles and crossovers, the Malibu finds itself abandoned by both marketing budgets and consumer interest. It is not just under pressure, it is disappearing in real time. In cities like Miami and Chicago, daily sit times for unsold Malibu units now exceed 200 days. That figure is staggering. It is not just a sales slump, it is a full inventory crisis. Many dealers have started quietly moving Malibu stock to back lots, or reassigning sales teams away from pushing it altogether. The message is clear: the brand no longer believes in its own product. To move metal, Chevrolet has authorized sweeping incentives. Dealers are now slashing up to $6,000 off the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Some are including complimentary technology upgrades, like touchscreen infotainment systems or enhanced driver assist packages. Multi-year warranties and 0% interest financing are increasingly part of the deal, not as a bonus, but as a lifeline. And yet, even with all these perks, hesitation remains. Buyers know this is the final act. The Malibu is not just outdated, it is obsolete. Competing sedans from Toyota and Hyundai have evolved with hybrid options, sleeker designs, and stronger resale values. The Malibu, by contrast, feels like a rental car frozen in time. In a landscape that demands adaptability, the Malibu chose comfort, and now it is paying the price. For buyers who want a vehicle built for the next 10 years, this one barely looks ready for the next 10 months. And if sedans are dying quietly, the next truck is crashing loudly, especially in states that once loved it. Ram 1500, Kentucky and New Jersey. This full-size pickup once stood out as the refined choice in a segment built on brute force. It offered what most of its competitors lacked: interior luxury, a silky ride, and real comfort for families who wanted more than just a workhorse. With real wood trim, soft leather upholstery, massive infotainment displays, and strong engine choices including a powerful 5,700 cubic centimeters V8, it managed to win both blue-collar loyalty and suburban respect. In Kentucky and New Jersey, it was not just a truck, it was a statement. But in the year 2024, something cracked. While Ford and General Motors pulled back on production in response to cooling demand, Ram's parent company, Stellantis, kept pushing trucks out at full speed. That aggressive overproduction has now backfired. In cities like Lexington and Newark, dealers are sitting on unsold Ram 1500 inventory for over 175 days, an eternity in automotive retail. The result is a flood of trucks with nowhere to go, and buyers who can smell the desperation from a mile away. To move stock, Ram dealerships have rolled out historic incentives. Discounts now regularly exceed $10,000. Some trims come bundled with lifetime powertrain warranties, 3-year free maintenance plans, and even top-dollar trade-in bonuses. In some regions, buyers are being offered free towing packages, premium bed liners, and 0% interest financing for up to 72 months. On paper, it looks like a buyer's dream. But the glut of inventory has created a different effect. Rather than sparking urgency, the deals are causing buyers to pause and wait. Many consumers now expect even deeper discounts to come as dealerships struggle to hit quarterly targets. Inventory stacks are not just a financial problem, they are a psychological one. Once buyers sense a truck is being overproduced and underloved, the perceived value drops, no matter how good the specs may be. The Ram 1500 is still an excellent truck, but its success has become its own trap. The market is oversaturated, and buyers no longer see it as rare, aspirational, or worth acting fast. When urgency disappears, so does pricing power. And now, Ram is learning a harsh lesson. No matter how refined a truck may be, if it is everywhere, it starts to feel like it belongs nowhere. And finally, let us talk about the one truck that was supposed to be untouchable, but now sits on the lot with a clearance tag. Ford F-150, California and Ohio. No truck has ever defined American utility quite like this one. For more than 4 consecutive decades, it has been the country's best-selling vehicle, trusted by farmers, contractors, first responders, and families alike. The Ford F-150 has worn many badges: workhorse, family rig, symbol of pride. Its legacy is unmatched, and for much of the 20th and 21st century, it was simply beyond criticism. If you wanted a truck that could do it all, this was it. But in recent years, the very thing that made the F-150 iconic has begun to work against it. In its push toward modern luxury and high-tech features, Ford gradually transformed its flagship pickup into something that feels less like a working man's tool and more like a corporate experiment. Fully loaded trims like the Platinum, Limited, and Raptor editions now top $100,000, a number once reserved for luxury sedans and imported SUVs. And that shift has not gone unnoticed. In places like Fresno and Cleveland, where middle-class loyalty to the F-Series has been rock solid for generations, buyers are starting to feel priced out of their own tradition. Even the once affordable XLT and Lariat trims are pushing into uncomfortable territory for average Americans. This is not just sticker shock, it is identity shock. When your father's truck becomes unaffordable to you, something is broken. Dealers in both states are now scrambling to reverse the damage. Rebates exceeding $10,000 have become common. Lease forgiveness programs are being offered to customers stuck in older F-Series contracts. Loyalty incentives are being stacked on top of trade-in bonuses and long-term financing plans to keep customers from jumping ship. In some cases, dealerships are throwing in free bed covers, off-road tires, or home charging bundles for the hybrid and electric variants. Anything to make the price feel less punishing. But the deeper issue remains: perception. The F-150 no longer feels like the truck of the people. It feels like a premium product being forced into a middle-income garage. And in today's market, where buyers are hyper-aware of value, that disconnect is dangerous. Brand loyalty can carry a vehicle for only so long. Eventually, the price has to match the promise. We tracked the data, verified the incentives, and exposed the truth. Also, you know where not to waste your money. If that matters to you, drop a comment, hit subscribe, and turn on alerts. We've got more market reveals coming fast.